Hi, so it's been a while since I talked about Bleach. Let's do that today. I am currently partway through the Arrancar arc. It's such a long arc, so long. And I knew that I wasn't going to wait until I was completely done with it to make a video about it because there's already a lot that's happened, but I just wasn't sure at what point I was actually going to make the video. So I just decided I'm at volume 37 now and it's time. This video is going to be full spoilers. This is so far into the series at this point of Bleach that there's no point in not having spoilers. So fair warning. Okay, so like I said, I am at volume 37 now. I just finished the past arc, which is 10 or so chapters kind of in the middle of the Arrancar arc. I am through the little subsection I'm just about to start is I believe it's called the Shinigami versus the Espada, or Shinigami versus Arrancar. I don't know. I'll look it up and put it down at the bottom. That's where I am. So my initial thoughts on Bleach. This is my little mini spoiler-free section in case you have seen Bleach or read Bleach, but you just haven't gotten to this part yet. I'm still loving it very much. I think it's still really good. I'm into it. I heard before that the Soul Society was kind of the peak of Bleach. I've heard that multiple times from multiple sources, and so I wasn't really sure exactly what to expect going into this arc, but I've also heard the opposite. So, I was just going in with a lot of kind of opinions already swirling around in my head. Now, of course, I have not finished the full Arrancar arc yet, but as far as the Soul Society arc being the peak of Bleach, I really don't think that's going to be the case. I don't know for certain yet because I haven't finished it, but I think this is pretty good. So I'm hopeful that that earlier arc was not the peak of this story at all. This is still so exciting and there's a lot to love about it. I will say that the middle of this arc has been a little bit drawn out. I'm getting a little bit bored kind of in the middle just because there's so many fights without kind of moving the plot along all that much. Me personally, I'm not super into fights for fighting's sake. It doesn't completely hold my interest, so that has kind of dragged a little bit, but it's really not egregious. It's not that bad. So it's my little complaint, but it's not enough for me to say I don't like this or I'm having a bad time or I'm really bored or anything like that. It's just basically the only complaint I've had about Bleach so far. So I think that's a really good sign. And it's still really readable. Even the parts where I am getting a little bit, a little bored and I'm finding a little drawn out, it's still flying by. The volumes are still going so quickly. So, it's a good sign. So let's get into the true full spoiler section. So right away with this arc, I was kind of sad that we weren't in the Soul Society anymore. We had been there for so long, for so many volumes. Okay, side note, the thing about Bleach that's kind of interesting to me so far is that the arcs are so long. I mean, throughout the 70-ish something volumes, there's really only 4, 5, 6, something like that, between 4 and 6 arcs. That's not very much. So each arc is pretty long. It's kind of interesting compared to a lot of other anime and manga that I've seen and read. These arcs are super long. So I just find that really interesting about Bleach. It doesn't really have anything to do with the quality of it. I'm just saying, it's something that's interesting. So anyways, back to our regularly scheduled program. I was sad we weren't in the Soul Society anymore because we had spent so long there, because the Soul Society arc is pretty long. It's just a change of environment. I was like a fish out of water again, and I didn't like it. I didn't like being back in the real world. But almost right away, I think in the first volume of this arc, we already had a pretty spicy reveal. It might have been one of the first volumes. I don't know. But anyways, pretty spicy reveal right away that Ichigo's father is or was a Soul Reaper. That took me out. That was pretty wild. And they said that he was exceptionally strong too, a captain class. I don't know if that means he used to be a captain or he's just that strong. Let's explore that a little bit. And, at the same time, we first see the Arrancars pretty early on in one of the first volumes of this arc. And right away, they're introduced as being really strong, really formidable, hard to beat, nothing we've really seen before. So I think right away from the get-go, it's really good stakes being set up here. Also, the introduction of I'm going to butcher this name. Vizared? Vizard. I don't know how to say that word, man. I'm going to put it up on the screen. I'm going to pronounce it wrong through the rest of this video, so just be aware. But anyways, they were really intriguing right from the start. What the hell are they all about? I don't know, but I want to know. I just like that they're another kind of facet of the Soul Reaper / Hollow, you know, all that world that we haven't seen yet. So we're still at this point getting an expansion of the lore and the world. And I love it. That's what keeps you interested. I'll talk about them a little more later too. I also loved the exploration of Ichigo's inner hollow. That was something that was kind of hinted at before, but we haven't really seen a lot of it. It's something that is set up and now it's starting to pay off. I like that because I was interested in it at the time it was introduced, which I believe was when Ichigo was training with Urahara at first, if I remember correctly. And now we're seeing it pop up again in the narrative. So I just like that setup and payoff there. And it's yet again another kind of facet of this world that is ripe for exploring. So I'm excited about that. Also, Orihime in this arc, I'm loving her. The exploration of her inner conflict and her just wanting to help so badly and being told at every turn that she can't or she shouldn't. It's very human and relatable, and it's very endearing to her character as well. Makes you feel very sympathetic towards her. And the hook of having her be kidnapped, that was a really good hook. I think I had to stop at the volume where she was kidnapped. Like, that was a cliffhanger for me because I needed to go to the library and get the next few volumes. So, like, you know, it worked. I was like, oh my gosh, this is big. And then we get to Hueco Mundo, and I love the squad that's there, that went there. I love them. I love their dynamic. They're fun. And then I liked the new kind of friendly Arrancars that they meet there. Tite Kubo just never fails to bring in these new elements that I don't see coming that are just so interesting and really just shake up the story and kind of spice it up. And I just freaking love it, man. Especially Nell. I love Nell. More women in this story. I'm happy with them when we get them. So I did like Nell. She's a good character, I think. Now onto the fights. Like I was kind of saying earlier, I'm not going to lie, the fights did start to get a little monotonous. It was just kind of one after another, and I don't necessarily think we always saw anything new or learned new things with each one. So I kind of wish some of them would have been cut out or shortened, especially since they just kept losing so badly with no end in sight. I was like, oh my gosh, this again. Give us a break. But thankfully, it did kind of get reinvigorated once the Soul Society court guard captains came to Hueco Mundo, because then they were kind of on more even footing with the Espadas. So the fight started to get a little more interesting, and there was a more, again, like balance. So it kind of got a little bit better and I got more interested in them. Even though I think the conflict of having the protagonists be pretty outmatched is good, it just gets to be a little much after a while. In my opinion, anyways. It gets boring. So yeah, that was the fight so far. The characters so far, my thoughts on most of the characters really haven't changed. I don't think I've really drastically started to like or dislike any character. Like, they're all kind of the same as far as how I felt about them in the past. There hasn't been a ton of development, so, you know, my feelings haven't changed that much. That being said, I do still love like almost all the characters. I'm pretty sure like I kind of want to do a tier ranking of Bleach characters in the near future. Now that I'm officially pretty much halfway through the series, I think this might be a good time to do it. So that might be coming. So anyways, as far as new characters, I love Nell. The twist with her, I didn't see coming. That was cool. I also like Shinji, although I was not sure about him at first. I thought he was kind of annoying at first, but once we got to the past arc, I loved him. I'll talk more about him in a little bit because I'm going to talk about the past arc, but I like Shinji now. Also, Aizen sucks. I'm glad we get to see more of him and his kind of villainous side in this arc, because in the Soul Society, obviously he came in at the end to be like, hey, I'm bad. Betrayal. But before that, we had really only seen him as this kind of friendly, nice captain. So I'm just glad we actually get to see him be a villain now. It's interesting. I don't like him, but it's kind of fun. You know, it's fun to actually see him in action instead of just hearing like about something bad happening from the shadows. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the past arc that kind of bisects the Arrancar arc a little bit, because we get like the first part of the Arrancar arc, then the past arc, which is a really tiny amount of it. Like I think it's like 10 chapters, and then the rest of the Arrancar arc afterwards. So the past arc, I kind of wasn't sure that I was going to like this going into it, because I was like, I just want to get back to the Arrancar arc. But the past arc was so good. I was so into it. I actually wish it had gone on for longer. Believe it or not. I'm curious how other people feel about this arc, because once I know the characters, going back into their backstory is really hit or miss for me, because sometimes I hate backstories and sometimes I love them. And in Bleach so far, I have loved every single flashback I've seen. I don't know, I guess Kubo just does them really well. He like puts them in at good points. He really reveals good new information about characters that can help inform the present. I think he just is really good at backstories. So I loved the past arc. I loved seeing characters interact that we haven't really seen interact with each other before. I thought that was really cool and fresh and really interesting. I love the dramatic irony of seeing Aizen before the big betrayal. And I did not realize that Shinji was actually a captain in the Soul Society. I don't know if that was revealed before and I just like forgot it. It just was out of my brain. But I didn't know before this arc. Maybe we did learn it for the first time here. I honestly don't know. I also didn't realize all the Visored. I didn't realize they were all Soul Reapers too, and pretty high-ranking ones too. Like, I think almost all of them, if not all of them, were at least captains or assistant captains. So that was really interesting too, to see how they all kind of happened to just come together and how they got into their current predicament, their current situation. And, you know, we got to see now why they were so strong when they were first introduced, like when they were all first fighting Ichigo, why they were so strong against him. We know now. I also liked seeing more of Urahara, who is my favorite character. I just love him. I liked seeing what led to him coming to our world, to the regular world, the human world, if you will, and why he's there. You know, I guess I didn't know if it was his choice to be there or if it was against his will, and now we know. So just seeing him in this context, and again, like I said before, interacting with people that we had never seen him interact with before. Cool. It's just cool. It was cool to see all the dynamics that were introduced in the past arc. I just loved seeing this other side of these characters. Also, I mentioned before that I was going to talk about Shinji a little more. I loved Shinji in this arc. As I said before, I wasn't too sure about him, but just seeing his struggle in the past was kind of heartbreaking and very endearing, just seeing how far he had fallen. And I was endeared to that whole group, the Visored, I don't know, that whole group. So yeah, the past arc really hit for me. I loved it absolutely so much. And that really brings me to where I am with the Arrancar arc so far. So as I kind of said at the beginning, I'm overall really liking this arc so far. I am excited to see how it ends. I really want to see where it goes. Is this Aizen's final arc? Like, is he just the villain of this arc and then a new threat comes? I don't know. I'll see. I can't believe this isn't even the end of the manga yet. Like, it seems so decisive. Like, it seems like we're leading up to the final battle of everything. So I can't believe that it's not the end. The fact that there's still more to come is very exciting to me. I just cannot state enough how much I am loving Bleach. If you've read this arc, if you've read up through this far or watched up through this far of Bleach, I would love to know what you think about it. Let me know. I'll have a video at some point with the rest of the Arrancar arc. And otherwise, I guess that's all for me. Until next time, just have a great day. Farewell.